So today is Tuesday. Thank you very much for choosing Pan-African Television. My name is Kwame Owusu Danso, and this certainly is your most authoritative morning show here in Ghana and in Africa. I'm excited about today because we get to spend a lot of time together. We get to spend quality moments together. We get to discuss issues. We get to bounce ideas off each other, and we get to recommend from our own perspectives what we think ought to be done by government, by ourselves, in order that we can enjoy the peace, the tranquil, and the development that we have been experiencing thus far. Now, let me quickly share with you the topics that we've tabled for our conversation today before I introduce my panelists for this morning. And but before then, let me quickly remind you that we're streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television, and we're also live on YouTube, youtube.com/Pan-African Television. You can equally share with me what your thoughts are via my personal Facebook page, which is Kwame Owusu Danso, my Instagram page, which is Kwame Owusu Danso, and my Twitter handle, which is Kwame Owusu Danso. You can just hashtag Good Morning Africa, and I will be able to read them out for you here on the show. Now, this morning we're looking at an African story. Mali government criticized by UN, EU for lethal response to protests. That story has been captured prominently by the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The story is on page 5 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper today. Ghana's confirmed COVID-19 cases hit 24,518, 20,187 recover and discharged, 139 of our brothers, mothers, sisters dead as a result of COVID-19. The Ghanaian Times reported that story. That story is also featuring on page 13 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Now, fear grips NPP over secret BNI survey on Nana Jane Opoku Ajaman. Daily Post reported that story. Professor Adai Jabs Mahama says Ghana will be worse off under his leadership. The Daily Searchlight reported that story. And the last topic is child trafficking lingers despite laws against practice. Rescued in Afram Plains, 3 rescued in Afram Plains. That story has been captured by the Daily Graphic newspaper on the front page of the Daily Graphic and continues on page 3 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. I've been joined in the studios by Hajia Hamdatu Ibrahim, who obviously you know, I'm sure you know, is gunning to be the chairperson of the Convention People's Party, CPP, here in Ghana. Good morning to you, Hajia, and thank you very much for your time. Also here seated is Gabriella Tetteh, who is one of the leading communicators for the NDC. She's here seated. Today happens to be her birthday. She's grafting, not growing, she's grafting. Good morning. Mecca. Oh, you think say waiting. You grow. So for those of you who have been watching and thinking she's 20 years, I'm sorry to tell you.
It's okay.
Now, well, I
know. Also spot my market.
Why are you doing this to her?
No, I'm actually increasing your market. So for those who thought you were younger, you know, they will reconsider and said, oh well, she's old after all. Good morning to you and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Very well. Is that why you're looking all yellowish? And I love what you're wearing, by the way. I wish the viewers could see the full length of the dress you're wearing. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
They will
Very
see.
beautiful.
They will see.
They'll see it there.
Yeah, they will have
Why you wanted to stand?
They will. Yeah.
And my most troublesome brother is also here, Saaka Salia. Good morning to you. Saaka obviously is also a leading communicator for the MPP. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah. Good morning.
And Saaka has been giving me headache on Facebook. Yesterday, there's this word blitz on Facebook, and Saaka has been challenging me. Then a message came. Saaka Salia inviting you to play word blitz. Charlie, the first time I played, I had 50. And Saaka was over 400. But you know, we learn as we move along. So, but I'm sure today I'll beat you, Saaka.
Well, let's see.
I like how you put it. Okay, well, so viewers, you are invited you're welcome to join in the conversation with your views, your comments via WhatsApp and text number, which is 0260846539. Now, let me say a special salutation going out to the general manager of Ridge Royal Hotel. Ridge Royal Hotel. I'm sure that you've seen the message from Ridge Royal Hotel, the fact that they are open to business, the fact that they are open for conferences. But make sure when you're coming, you yourself personally, you protect yourselves before you get to their entrance. And when you get there, they check your temperature, they make sure you are okay. If you're not wearing a nose mask, they provide you with one. Before you enter, you wash your hands and things like that. When you get to the reception, they have a place for sanitizing your hands and things like that. Everything is properly placed. So make sure that you spend some quality moments with your family and friends at Ridge Royal Hotel. They are open to business. It's in Cape Coast, you know, so just a weekend getaway isn't bad at all. You know, this COVID-19 time, Charlie, sometimes you just need to relax and just, you know, reminisce about life and experiences and things like that. And then, you know, change your thoughts, your thinking patterns about your way of life and how you can take advantage of the opportunities that there is. But Ridge Royal Hotel certainly has a very serene lake of tranquil, you know, that you can go and relax yourself. They have this beautiful chalet. Is it chalet? Yeah, well, let me describe it as chalet or chalet. It's a very beautiful place, trust me. Green, very serene. In the morning when you wake up, you hear the birds chirping. Oh my goodness, they sing. And you know, the sun smiles through its rays. And it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful environment. The atmosphere, everything is just amazingly awesome. So try Ridge Royal Hotel now and thank me later. When you go, just mention my name. Tell them Kwame Owusu Danso asked you to come. So they should give you a discount, and they'll give you a discount. Trust me. Trust me. Also, a special salutation going out to Dr. Tony Edu. You're watching us this morning. Thank you very much, sir, for always watching and criticizing constructively. You know, of course, to make sure that the morning show gets to the level that we all wanted to get to. So I'm grateful that always you watch me and you guide me and you advise me as to what to do for my subsequent shows. Thank you very much, sir. All right. So let's come back now and discuss Mali. And I want to respectfully kickstart this conversation with Hajia Hamdatu. CPP. Okay, birthday girl, let me start with you. As your birthday present.
That was in the deal.
Well, let me just read a little bit of the story so that our viewers will also be apprised as to exactly what the facts are. So the United Nations and the EU, European Union, have condemned the Malian government's use of lethal force during protests calling for President Ibrahim Keita to resign and urged it to release detained opposition leaders. On Friday, the latest and third mass demonstration held since protests began in early June turned violent, with police firing gunshots towards demonstrators, some of whom had occupied state buildings in Bamako. Protesters have been calling for Keita to step down over his failure to quash violence by jihadist groups and ethnic militias, and over disputed results of legislative elections in March. Now, the government acknowledged 4 people were killed on Friday. The opposition says the police killed at least 8 more during smaller protests on Saturday. Several leaders of the M5 RFP, the coalition leading the protests, were also arrested. In a statement late on Sunday night, the UN mission in Mali, the African Union, West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS, and the European Union criticized vandalism by protesters, but reserved their sharpest criticism for the authorities. International and regional powers fear political turmoil in Mali could undermine their military campaigns against Islamic insurgents in West Africa's Sahel region. The United Nations has over 13,000 peacekeeping soldiers in Mali. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Gabriella, birthday present. By the way, how are we celebrating the birthday?
Oh, we are just
mild, calm, quiet.
Aye. Oh, I don't want anybody to gather in my name. After COVID, we'll have a proper party. The one that you can dance and hug and shake and, you know, when things are normal.
Is it ever going to happen?
It's going to happen. I'm positive. I'm optimistic. I want to say good morning to our viewers. Good morning to you, Kwame, Hajia, Saaka, to the NDC fraternity, to Dr. Tony Edu. I haven't seen him in ages.
Yeah.
I greet you. Good morning. And to our flag bearer and our vice president nominee, I wish them a good morning as well. Kwame, the issue of Mali is a very delicate matter. In March, the president, well, at the center of this whole controversy, this whole issue is the legislative elections, which were held in March and were the results were annulled by the president. Subsequently, the opposition parties have come together, led by an imam, and are leading protests after protests since, I think, June or so. Just this past week, there was another protest where 4 people were shot and killed. And that's, I don't use the word anger the UN and the other agencies, but that obviously made them condemn the high-handedness of the Malian government. It's obvious that the president's term and popularity is at an all-time low. It's obvious that the people want him out. But it's typical of African leaders, where it's your time to go, but people just want to still hold on to power by every legitimate or illegitimate means. No, in that particular Sahel area, we're having challenges with Islamist militants, which is also affecting the security of that region. Currently, the UN has about 13,000 peacekeeping officials stationed there who are funded by the UN. And the UN obviously could do with more resources in other areas and not have to put so much into Mali. Be it as it may, there's a crisis in Mali. And I wish that it wasn't just the UN and the EU that were calling for a halt to what is going on in Mali. I wish that we could hear more from the AU, and there was the AU rather that was spearheading this more aggressively, looking at the total security of the continent. Because I think that Africa, we'll keep saying that this is Africa's time to rise. But for Africa to rise, Africa needs peace and stability. And the AU should be seen at the forefront of leading that charge and not always sitting back and watching the international community, quote unquote, Western society, dictate what should happen on the continent. I also wish to see ECOWAS also take more responsibility for what is going on in Mali. A lot of the time, we like to sit back and, as I said, watch the international community be the one to dictate what should go on in our sister African country. Meanwhile, whatever challenges ensues from what is going on in Mali, should it explode and trickle down, it is we in the sub-region who first go and bear the brunt of it. If there's a migration crisis right now and people start migrating out of Mali, Burkina is not a very safe place for them either. And for them to think of safety, they'll be considering coming down further south.
Absolutely.
Do we have the socioeconomic backup to contain refugees coming from that area? We don't. So we should be more strategic and more proactive in addressing the challenges of Mali, not just the EU and the UN. Ordinarily, they do fund a lot of Mali's expenditure budget. They fund most of Mali's budget. But looking at the socio-economic impact within the West Africa community, I wish that ECOWAS and the AU will also spearhead some campaign to resolve the crisis there. The gentleman wants a unitary government, which again is one strategy that these old people who don't want to leave power always come up with to stay in office. Before the issue becomes more complicated than it is, they should go back to the negotiation table. I think that they have to look at the legislative elections again, whether they're going to have a rerun of the entire process or they take the result as it is, as long as it was a free and fair and credible elections. And also figure out a way of dealing with the issue of the presidency. I'm in no position to tell anybody to whether to go and overthrow their president or to confirm them or otherwise. That's for the Malian people to decide. And obviously, whatever action is going on the streets of Mali is what will determine the outcome of it. But my interest is that as a sub-region and as a country that is also having to suffer its own plight under COVID and bad government policies, I would wish that the bigger bodies within the subcontinent will take up this matter and not leave it to Western agencies.
Okay, thank you. Hajia.
Yes, hi, good morning. Happiest birthday to my good sister, my friend, Gabriella.
Thank you.
Good morning, my brother Saaka. And I would like to say a very good morning to our cherished viewers out there. And a happy birthday to my father, my uncle, who always, at times we talk, and then he sort of encouraged me in whatever I'm doing, Dr. Adokufo.
Oh, nice.
Good morning and a happy birthday to you. Today is 80 years. But he doesn't look it, you know.
Absolutely.
He doesn't look it. That's good. The Malian issue. I think, Kwame, you don't create problems where there are problems already. You know the Malian situation, what they went through. If you look at Mali, Niger, and which country is there who are struggling with the Taranga, that's Chad or something. So therefore, if there's now peace in that country and there was an election, and then the president would decide that no, we are not going according to the results of the election, I'm going to annul the election. What are the reasons for doing that? Is it that the Legislative Assembly, most of the opposition party won, that is why the president feared and did that? I condemn any act of illegalism, destruction of public or private property. I condemn it, but at the same time, I also condemn anybody who will use force that will even result into killing of people because of power. It's an unfortunate incident that happened in Mali, still happening. What are the AU and then for that matter ECOWAS going to do? Is it that they have to call this man to say enough is enough? Because if you want a unity government, this is not the time, because you've been on the throne for some time. Allowed for a free and fair election. If the good people of Mali likes you, they will still vote for you. But if you are going to use force and sort of carve people into submission, you don't know what is in their chest burning. You don't know when it will burn, as it is happening in Mali now. And I'm totally surprised in this era of COVID-19 that people are thinking of what to do to solve this. I don't know even how to describe the COVID-19, because it is killing people left, right, center on the continent. I don't know the Mali case when it comes to COVID-19, but is that what they are thinking of? Killing each other because of power? Instead of us thinking of how to take good care of our people, COVID is everywhere in Africa and in the world.
Absolutely.
And we're not thinking about that. And these demonstrators, when we are saying practice social distance, and people are demonstrating, which means if they any of them have COVID, it's going to do what? It's going to increase. So I think, as my freshest, today she's a girl, birthday lady said, we shouldn't always look at the West for our solution on the African continent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then if we really think properly as Africans, we are enriching the West by buying their guns, because we don't manufacture them. Even the locally ones, we don't even do it properly. We are buying ammunition from them and killing each other. Is that the best? I'm not sure that is the best at all. I think as Africans, when we go to AU, we go to ECOWAS, we shouldn't just talk, and then you don't see any concrete things coming up. Because recently, but there was ECOWAS or something, some ministerial something. Issues that borders on security, on elections, on things that will divide us as a country or maybe as a continent. Do we table those issues as our priorities, or we are just meeting and then talk about who is going to be the ECOWAS chairman, who is going to be the AU chairman, and then you will lobby and then get the position, and that is all. I think you look at certain things that run through the countries. Most of the cases is election. Most of the cases in Africa is election. Maybe somebody has won an election because maybe the person is opposition. Then I don't know the Malian constitution. What does this say when maybe there's an election and then somebody wins and then maybe the elections has been annulled? Is there any opportunity for them to go to court to go and sort of challenge that kind of authoritarian decision? Because how can a president, I don't know whether the constitution gives the president that mandate. Maybe he can decide after sleeping and waking up, oh, this election, I don't like it, so I've cancelled it. I don't know.
I think that's what he sought to do.
Yes, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Because so many people are involved. People went out there to solicit for people's support. Why did he cancel that election? And ECOWAS are quiet. AU are silent until it escalates that the way it is going. Before people will start talking, please, let there be calm, please don't go out there. No, you do it, you intervene when it starts. Like when the man said, oh, I've cancelled the elections, at least people should go to him. ECOWAS leaders, they should nominate some people, go to him. Why are you cancelling the elections? Can we really look at what is happening? Because it's a union, it's a community, ECOWAS. We are all in the same, as Gabriella said, if there are issues in Mali, do you know any problem in West Africa, the sub-region?
Affects the other.
The country that they feel comfortable to come is Ghana. Look at our rent now, it's going up because other people from our sister countries have taken over. You get a single room, self-contained, it's 250 Ghana cedis. 300 Ghana cedis. If there's a porch, they'll say 400 Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
How many Ghanaians can work and pay that?
There's something that makes it look like a two-bedroom, 600.
You see, so therefore, even in Ghana, we are hard-pressed for even accommodation. So if something like that should happen in Mali, and they start trooping into Ghana, because I don't see them feeling comfortable in any other country but Ghana. So I think the ECOWAS and AU must be up and doing to make sure that this problem is solved once and for all. If you are calling for a unity government now, which means you are losing your popularity, you've lost it. So you'd rather leave when the applause are very high.
Thank you very much, Hajia.
Loud, thank you. So
let me also now come to Saaka Salia. But before then, let me remind you that the WhatsApp number is active. It's 026-084-6539. 026-084-6539. We're also streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television. Saaka, please.
Yeah, good morning to our viewers. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to you, to Hajia, and happy birthday to Gabriella Tetteh. Let me take this opportunity to say good morning to His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo and His Excellency, the Vice President Baumia. I think that the three of you all cited Tony Edu and then greeted him. Let me also take this opportunity to also greet him. Gabriella said that it's been a while she saw him. But the reason could be that you remember Tony Edu says that these days he doesn't go to NDC congresses. Maybe that's the reason why.
No, he came out with a statement to deny that.
Oh, but he said that.
No, he didn't say that.
There was a tape. There's a video.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
What did he say?
He didn't. He said he didn't say anything of that. So let's proceed.
There's a video.
Let's discuss the issue.
There's a video. Yeah.
Saaka,
the video cannot lie.
Let's discuss it.
So that is the reason why you are unable to
Let's
see.
discuss the issue.
No, we are discussing.
We are not discussing. Discuss Mali.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Dr. Tony Edu is not from Mali. He's not in Mali. Let's discuss Mali. Thank you very much for understanding.
Yeah, Kwame.
Yes, my boss.
In terms of Mali, I think that it's becoming worrisome. It's becoming, worrying regularity that every now and then there's a turmoil in the Sahel region, of which Mali play a very critical role. The latest was on the 5th of June. Was it in June? Yeah, last Friday. And if you look at what happened, I mean, it begs for condemnation from all fronts. And it came as no surprise that the world is condemning the Malian government for the high-handedness with which they handle the protesters.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't use lethal force in solving such a problem. I mean, there's a problem. And the problem is not just about the election. The problem is about the jihadi movement and then the ethnic militia that's ravaging the region. And the opposition, that is the M5 RFP, is asking government of Mali to clamp down on those people and to ensure that the right thing is done. And added to this is the election of, the election disputes that ensure. I mean, the election is like our like parliamentary election, so to speak.
Legislative.
Yeah, legislative election. So, I mean, why would the president unilaterally, take certain decisions without recourse to the rules? And that calls for, I mean, any nation where of a sort will not want to sit down and allow a dictator of a sort to determine the fate of their system of governance. And that was the reason why, that's the reason why the M5 RFP coalition decided that enough is enough and they were not going to sit down and allow such things to continue. But you see, I am happy that the UN, the AU, the European Union, all of them, condemned the action of the, when Hajia was speaking, he said the UN and the AU are quiet. They are not quiet. They condemn the activities. Okay. They condemn those, the activities of the government, but they also condemn the demonstrators. I mean, the demonstrators did something that was not good enough.
Yes.
I mean, you can't go on demonstration and go and occupy government buildings and do all manner of things. If you have a dictator, you are calling the dictator to bring the dictatorship in him. And that is exactly what happened. So when you are demonstrating, you should ensure that it's peaceful. You should ensure that if there is a fallout, the blame should not come from the demonstrators. So that you should be very focused on your demands. But for you to, do things that are of no use to the demonstration, when they are condemning, they will condemn you too. And then your objective will be drawn in the condemnation, in the whole scheme of things. But if you were very focused and ensure that you do the right thing and go strictly to your tenants, when people are talking, they will only condemn government. But now the whole UN, the whole European Union, or even ECOWAS is also part, and the AU, they are all part of the communique that came out. They condemned the government and condemned the demonstrators too. I think that we should be very circumspect as government, and we should also be circumspect as civilians whenever that we are taking actions against obnoxious decisions or things that do not inure to the benefit of the people. And to this extent, I think that the Malian president did not do the right thing.
Okay.
and then the roundly condemnation from all walks of life, actually is needed, and it is been done, and that is what is needed. Okay. So it's not just condemning and then leaving it at that. The world leaders must also ensure that the right thing is done, and that nobody takes the law of the land into his or her own hands.
Thank you very much, Saaka Salia. Well, the WhatsApp number again is 0260846539, and we're also streaming live on Facebook. The next topic that we're going to be discussing has to do with COVID-19. Ghana's confirmed cases hit 24,518. 20,187 recovered and discharged, 139 deaths. Ghanaian Times reported that story. But most importantly, on the issue of COVID-19, I'm sure you are very much apprised to what is transpiring in our various senior high schools. Indeed, we've recorded some cases in the schools, and on the basis of that, there has been a joint communique issued by the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service, and they said update on confirmed cases of COVID-19 in some senior high schools in Ghana. This release is dated 13th of July 2020. And I'm reading this because obviously that issue will come up. A lot of people, including myself, have asked for at least a temporary closure of the school so that we can, deal with the persons who have contracted the virus, and not to, to discourage further spread, if you will. So, following the first report of COVID-19 cases in senior high schools in the country on 6th of July 2020, the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service instituted a number of measures to determine the extent of the outbreak and containment measures. Accra Girls Senior High School has recorded most cases from the first report to date. As of 13th of July 2020, a total of about 314 persons, students and staff from the school, have been tested. Out of these, 55 have been confirmed positive for COVID-19, whilst 259 persons tested negative. Actions taken so far: identification and segregation of contact from the other students, sample collection and lab testing of all contacts identified and suspected cases. All confirmed cases have been transferred to designated national treatment and isolation centers for management. Restriction of number of students that attend dining at a particular time, enforcement of social distancing protocols, enhanced hand hygiene practices, and the proper use of the face mask. Disinfection of the entire school has been carried out. Adequate PPEs have been provided to health staff stationed in the school. Education on COVID-19 prevention and control has been intensified within the school. Counseling and psychological support is being provided to the students. The school has designated a quarantine and isolation center. Parents and guardians of affected students have been duly contacted. Staff of the school have been reassured. Similarly, a few other schools have reported sporadic cases which have not experienced a surge. To prevent spread of COVID-19 in senior high schools across the country, similar measures are being implemented. Ghana Education Service, working with Ghana Health Service, wishes to inform parents, guardians, and the general public that efforts are being made to ensure the safety of our staff and the students. Signed, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwa, Director GS, and Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, Director GHS. All right. So let me start with Saaka Salia on this subject matter. COVID-19, the increase in numbers, the control measures, whether or not they've been successful, the reopening of schools, the numbers that we are seeing in the schools, and what pragmatic measures we can take at this material moment in order to see the numbers plummet. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, Kwame, thank you very much. I think if you look at the numbers per se, they seem not to be abating. I mean, the numbers kept going up, by the day. But one thing that should comfort us at least is the number of recoveries. We've had over 24,000, but currently as it is, we've had about 20,000 recoveries. So the active cases is just around 4,000 and all. And one would say that the recovery is as a result of the WHO new rule, but it is science, and WHO cannot just come and bring a rule without science. And we also know that the virus keep on manifesting itself. Nobody knows the virus to the fault. I mean, it's a new virus, and therefore it manifests itself in so many ways and all that. And science is also following with that. So, as and when a scientific recovery is gotten, then we also adhere to the new scientific ways of ensuring that we get ourselves out of this a pandemic. But if you look at the Ghana case, in simple terms, I mean, simplistically, one would just jump to the conclusion that, we are losing the fight, like what the detractors of government want us to believe. That, we are losing the fight. I mean, now we are 24,000. In comparative terms, we are doing well. If you compare Ghana to other countries, we are far better and all that. But you see, being far better doesn't make our case for us. We still need to do better, because the reason why I'm saying this is, I mean, if you look at what is happening in the various schools, currently as we are speaking, I mean, people talk about Accra girls, 54 students being tested, and some other schools, about 14 or so. And they are using that as case study, as the reason why, I mean, things have gotten out of, control. But we beg to differ. It is not so. I mean, the Ghana Health Service have come out, and then even the Ghana Education Service have come out to actually assuage parents and to let everybody know that, I mean, they are under control. Everything is under control. When a case is reported anywhere, quickly they go there, tests those people, and then isolate those that get infected. And then not even there, they still go ahead to do the contact tracing, and people who are found to have contracted the disease are also isolated. These people that we are talking about, I heard, the NDC and some other people say, I mean, even bringing these students back to school was a ploy to just register them and all that. Even if they were in the house and they are 18 years, they will still register. Am I lying, Kwame? If they were even in the house, wouldn't they register? Are there no polling stations in their house?
That would be their discretion. If they
no, but I'm saying that if they are in the house, even in the school, it's still their discretion.
Are you sure?
It's will a headmaster come and then stand on you that go and register your name?
But you don't know what's happening there.
No, please. I mean, don't do that. I mean, when there's obvious question, answer. This is just too obvious for you to now want to play with it. You get a point. It doesn't matter whether they are in the house or in school. So you cannot say that it is a ploy to bring them to school so that they can register and vote for Nonado. That is not the case. And remember, when this reopening thing was being contemplated on, the government invited all stakeholders to bring, whatever, to bring, to write or to bring suggestions as to what we can do to actually help the situation. I know some other countries like Nigeria and Kenya and all that, they decided that the academic year they can forgo it and all that. But that is at discretion. We are talking about only two or three countries out of the lot. So the rest have also taken a discretion. We know the reason why, and the reason is that we will be able to contain the situation, and the situation is being contained. If you talk about thousands and thousands of students, even Accra girls alone, they are over 1,000. And out of that, 46 have contracted the disease, and these 46 are asymptomatics. It's not as if once you get a disease or once you have been diagnosed positive, that's a death sentence. It is not so. And more so, these are young, energetic young girls who fortunately have been tested positive with asymptomatics. And therefore, within by the WHO rules of recovery, if after the first 2 tests and all that, I mean, or after 14 days, they are unable, they don't show signs, quickly they will be deemed to have recovered and all that. Okay. And then they can continue with their education. Okay.
We know about government deliberate measures, you know, in ensuring that we deal with COVID-19. I mean, when it started, we tried to implement some, if you will, preventive protocols, that would enable, you know, us to be able to deal with or address the issue of COVID-19. One of such was random mass testing and things like that. Are we still doing those things?
Yeah, I mean,
are we still doing random mass testing?
Yeah. Government still sometimes do it, but I think that one has.
What is the strategy of government to deal with this issue? Because from the beginning we could see, you know, it was very palpable what the plans were. But now it appears we're just, you know, it's just a knee-jerk thing. We don't really know what we're doing. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, I mean, you see, we know what we are doing. Maybe you don't see.
I'm not seeing it. So I want you, and I'm sure a lot of the people who are watching me perhaps are not even now, because we know. I mean, when we started, Kojo Ponkuma was very loud. I mean, yeah, you know, we want to make sure that we are ahead of the virus. You know, so we are doing random mass testing, we are isolating, we are treating, and speaking all the grammar and things like that. Now we are not seeing that. It's not happening.
You're not hearing the talk. Okay, no.
Who says rhetoric cure?
No.
You see, you're talking about recoveries. How do the people recover?
Don't you know how they recover?
How do they recover?
Yeah, they recover after 14 days. Between 10 and 14 days. If you test positive and between 10 and 14 days, you don't show sign of the disease, whether you test negative or positive. The WHO says that once you don't show sign of the disease, it means that there are elements of the disease, of the virus in you. But that in itself is of no consequence. You cannot transmit that virus to another person, and it's not also harmful to you. So it will be there, and then after some time, when you go and test positive, you go and test, and it will test negative. So that is the WHO standard, and we have adapted it. So I don't actually see anything wrong with it. So I'm saying that people are inciting parents to go to the schools.
You see, you've not answered my question.
Yeah.
I'm saying that why would people incite people to go to the schools and go and withdraw their awards from the schools? Because government has failed in addressing the issue of COVID-19. We have stopped testing. Isolation centers are full. We don't have extra, or if you will, excess capacity to accommodate other people who have the symptoms. So how are we addressing it? If your body can resist the virus by itself, then you know you are counted as one of those who have recovered. But otherwise, you are being left to your fate.
Come.
And we have people who have died.
I think that sometimes we just see things without any verifiable.
Okay, so tell me the truth. What is it?
Verifiable.
Are we testing?
Wait, listen.
Tell me.
We say things without verifiable verification.
Okay.
You say that one, we have stopped testing, which is a fallacy.
How?
If we have stopped testing, how did we come to the conclusion that some students have gotten the virus? How do you determine that our case count now is 24,000? How do we come to the conclusion that we have over 20,000 recoveries? So we have not stopped testing. That is number one. Secondly, you also made the assertion that isolation centers are occupied, are full.
I'm sure you recently heard the issue about
you see
I'm coming. Kolebu's issue. You heard recently
what happened
about the fact that they couldn't admit anymore because they don't have capacity to accept a lot of.
So you are talking about Kolebu?
But Kolebu is part of isolation.
So
UGMC, University of Ghana Medical School, somebody died because the person was not able to be they couldn't admit that person because the place was full.
So is that all?
But how many isolation centers do you have in this country?
You see, come on,
let's not
don't go there.
About?
Don't go there. Don't go there.
If a close relative of yours has died out of COVID-19, you won't be talking the way you are
isolation centers are far more than Kolebu and
how many?
You see?
How many do you have in this country?
I mean, we have many. If you go to the central region and other places, there are isolation centers.
So the isolation centers in central region, are they not supposed to take care of the people who are in central region and its environs?
No.
They are supposed to be.
So yes.
If central region is full.
Oh, please. The isolation centers. Some people even donated their facilities as isolation centers.
Which people?
Don't you know that?
No, I don't know. Tell me.
So I'm telling you.
Which people?
I am not here to give you the specifics.
Give me names. Which people?
Names. But
I'm telling you, University of Ghana.
University. You see, University of Ghana, they take care of the critical ill people who have shown symptoms and all that, you know. But because of the WHO new method, we don't have these isolation centers being crowded and all that. So for you to now come to that conclusion that, oh, the isolation centers are crowded and we are losing the fight and all that, it is not true. The virus as it is now is not as lethal as it is in other countries. Oh, of course.
The same Africa Center for Disease Control,
yes,
has come out to say that Ghana is one of the 5 countries that have failed.
In terms of what?
In terms of everything.
Oh, man, don't go there.
In terms of strategy.
No.
In terms of preventive mechanisms. In terms, no, it's true.
I'm telling you, WHO also praised us as one of the 15 countries, not in Africa, but in the world, that have been able to contain. About 2 months ago.
I'm talking about now.
So, are you saying the WHO is wrong and some, Africa Center for Disease Control is right?
If you listen to my question, I premised it on a fact that when we started, we were doing very well. I didn't say that we had failed from the beginning. I'm saying that when we started,
we are still doing well.
But that was 2 months ago. 2 months ago. I'm talking about now. We have failed. Now, admit how we have failed.
If we had failed, it would have shown in the number of deaths. It would have shown in the number of people who died. I mean, if you go to other countries, in their thousands.
Lord.
People are dying in their thousands. But we have been, let me tell you, if we were unable to detect all these 24,000 people today, do you know the case count that would have had? Look at the number of tests that we have done. The whole of Africa, per capita, we are number 1. The whole of Africa. Look at even Nigeria. We have tested, close to about 300,000. Other people have not even crossed even 50,000. Countries with bigger population have not even crossed 50,000. Recently, Nigeria was around 20,000 tests. So if you have not tested, how would you even come to the conclusion? How would you even know the number of people who have tested positive? So in terms of testing, you cannot say that we have stopped testing. We still test every day. And we have expanded the number of testing centers. You know that. It used to be the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research and then the Noguchi. Now we have expanded. If you go to Kolebu, now we are testing. The Noguchi is there, the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research is there. Right. If you go to even Ho, if you go to the western region, if you go to Tamala, if you come to even Tema, if you go to even, they are all over the place. That is the reason why the number of people who have tested positive have now increased, because now the testing has increased. And even the tuberculosis centers, we have now reconverted the gene the gene centers. I mean the gene, what do you call it?
Department.
Yeah, they have the machines that is used to test tuberculosis, and those machines have now been reconverted to testing of COVID, and all these things are adding. If you go to almost every district assembly, they test.
Are you aware that Noguchi came out recently? I think the gentleman was granted.
Even Noguchi itself has even expanded its own operation.
Senior. Hold on, let me just ask you. Yes. Last week or last 2 weeks, that they are overwhelmed, and that they have a backlog of about 3,000
13,000.
13,000, I beg your pardon. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry. That they've not released. And that KCCR, I think, had a problem and they had shut down. They were not testing any longer. And that the figures that were put out by government was not the exactitude of what the realities were. Are you aware of that?
No. No, don't say that. Did they actually say that the figures that were put out by government is not?
I'm telling you that.
Is that what they said?
I'm telling you that. Do you know that they had a?
No, I'm asking you. You
can't be asking me a question.
No.
I'm asking you.
Is that what they said?
I'm asking you a
That
question.
the figures that government put out is not the exact figures. Is that what they said?
That they put,
or is it your own ways?
Why? I'm asking you.
These are your own ways.
I'm saying, are you aware of that?
Am I aware of your own ways?
I have asked you a question. If I don't know what I'm saying, I won't ask you that question. That is what.
And I'm also asking you that.
That is what it
that
is.
what you are saying. Are you quoting them or you are?
Whether I'm quoting or paraphrasing, it meant the same thing.
It doesn't mean the same thing. It doesn't mean the same thing, Kwame.
Saaka,
No.
answer my question. Are you aware?
No, because I'm aware of the 13,000 backlog.
Yes, sir.
That I mean, for backlog, it has always been with us. No, I mean, Kwame, true of us. Even from day one, Kwame, even from day one, most of the time, they will take your samples, and then the sample results are brought to you after 2 weeks.
Some of them, they issued.
So that is backlog.
Ghana Health Service issued a statement, a press release, just to put out somebody's result. Those people are
see,
different.
that was the beginning. That was when it started. Are you saying that in US now?
You know, in Nima, this year.
Yes.
Nima,
I was.
They went around testing people. Then they went to a household, and then they said one person had contracted the virus. So they picked the person.
Yes.
This was in the initial stages.
Yes.
And then they went to test the person. And then after they had tested the person, they allowed the guy to go back home, right?
Yes.
They waited. The results never came. So imagine if that person truly had the virus.
No. The results never came.
No. Till today, the person has not seen the results.
No. You see, there's another thing. So come, don't laugh. There's another thing.
Ghana.
There's another thing. Sometimes, if you haven't had your test results, it means that you are negative.
Okay, Hajia, please.
That's what they do.
At least the person should know.
That's what they do. But once you test positive,
don't be pushing the public.
But once you test positive, they will of necessity have to let you know.
Yo, Hajia.
Well, COVID-19, I think we've been battling with this disease for some time now. And then the latest one has to do with the reopening of the schools and then some of the children testing positive to COVID-19. For about a week ago, I think parents are demanding that authorities should release their children to them. I have a contrary view. Why? Because the children are in a particular place. They've tested them, 54 are positive, 200 and something are negative. Now, we don't know. Now, if a parent should come and say that, release my child, and I'm told that being negative doesn't mean that maybe tomorrow you cannot be positive.
Absolutely.
So therefore, I will prefer that we keep them there, monitor them, and then we'll see what can come out of it. Because I had the Director General today, either the Director of Health or Education, talking about measures that are being put in place to curb this menace of a disease or virus called COVID-19.
Yeah.
Now, Kwame, when I have my daughter in Accra Girls, who has been tested negative, I don't know my even status. How many parents troop in there to take their children? Did they go to check whether they are positive or negative? We don't know about that. A child can be negative. Maybe the parents can be positive without you knowing. So along the line, you taking this child to the house might even worsen the situation by this child contracting this disease from you, or maybe the process of he or she being taken home. So I think measures should rather be put in place. Those who are positive should be treated. And then what I'm not happy about is that when the children were going back to school, there should have been some screening at the entrance. I think that would have even stopped all this wahala that we are facing. because maybe if they have been tested before entering the school, we'll be able to know those who have shown sign. If not because this girl was maybe conscious of the fact that maybe she's been watching TV, she's been listening to news. That's how when she started having some strange feelings, she reported to the authorities. And then she was able to name the people she has gotten in touch with or contact with, which is a very good sign. Maybe somebody will just be lying down in the dormitory. She will not say anything unless or until somebody sees that, oh, maybe Hamdatu today, I didn't see her, she's lying on her bed, she's not coming out. But this is a child who is well abreast with what is happening. So I think the education must go very well. We should, the Ghana Education Service that they've been on, they've gone around to schools to interact with the teachers and then the students, and then all the protocols, the hand sanitizers, the Veronica buckets, social distance, and what have you. So I think it is incumbent on the authorities, if I say the authority now, the school authorities, to have even a daily, like the way we say our Lord's prayers every morning. When they are there, you should constant reminder, because some of them can even be walking without the nose masks on. Maybe it's difficult. It's difficult. Yesterday, two people came to my office, and I asked one, "Where's your nose mask?" It's in my pocket. I said, "Oh my God, why? You know that it's difficult." I said, "It is difficult, but it is better. It's better you use it and be used to it than maybe exposing yourself and other people to danger." So he understood, and then quickly he put it on. And there was one who came to my office, and then the one who told him to wait for me, as if he knew, he followed him into my office. When he started talking, then the guy said, "Mepacho," he will put it, when he starts talking, then he'll remove it again. And it's not a small boy. He said it's 31 years, but he kept on removing the thing. So it is difficult. But I think with education, even we are pleading with you, please wear your mask, because you either contract the disease or maybe you can spread it. So I think constant reminder, constant education will help. But I'm not of the view. I don't believe that letting the children go back to the house. Now, we know there are COVID-19 status. Some have, some don't have. Maybe the 200 and something, inshallah, they should continue testing negative. And this 54 who are being isolated, let's see what happens. Maybe they can easily recover. What I'm not happy about is the stigmatization, because the person is COVID-19. He knows his status. What about you? And if the person has recovered, that person should rather be embraced, not to be shied away. That's, oh, no, we don't want COVID. This person has gotten COVID. No, he has or she has come out of it, but you don't know. Most of us criticizing, we are afraid to go and test. Fearos. We fear to go and test. But we will be the first to criticize. So I think COVID-19 has no political color. COVID-19 has no religious color. COVID-19 has no tribal color. So I think as Ghanaians, and for that matter, people of the world, because it's affecting everywhere. There is no country. I learned it's only one country that is celebrating COVID-19 has left their country.
Mauritius.
Mauritius, yes. I think Ghana too, we should up our game by educating our people. Still, the nose or the face mask that is being enforced, people are still walking on the streets of Accra without the nose mask. Do you want to be caned before you put on your nose mask? Do you want to be chased before you put on your no? It is for our own good. So we are pleading with you. You are mentioning Nima. Today is what? Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, go to the Nima market. Most of them are sitting there. They are not wearing the mask. You're not wearing it for Nana Akufo-Addo. You're not wearing it for the Director of Health Service. You're not wearing it for Minister of Health. You're not wearing it for Kwame, who is not wearing anyway, because you are safe. All of us are wearing. You see, you're not wearing it for anybody, but you're wearing it for yourself, to protect yourself and then protect other lives. COVID-19 is with us.
Real.
It's real. It's killing people. It's killing us. So what can we do to also help in our small way? I have a grandson in my house. I put him in the car. Ma, where's my nose mark? My nose mark. 2.5 years. He's telling me. I put him in the car, I'm in my nose mark. He's telling me, where's his nose marks? I should give it to him before he will go out. Because he has seen that the whole house, we've been using the nose marks. And he'll tell you. And everybody has a sanitizer in my house. I bought a small one for him. He told me, hey, this one is small. So he went and dropped it in the dustbin. I said, why? That is small and it's dirty. He wants the big one. I said, because you are small. That's why I said, he calls it Anthony Tiger. You see, so let's educate our children. Let's educate the public. Old men and old women in this country, adults, are still not complying. Why? I think the education is more important.
Okay.
And then the survivors, those who have survived. Like my good brother, the Minister for Regional Integration, or what's the name?
Is it Carlos Angra?
No. Damboche, the Minister of Education, they've all survived, the Minister of Health. They should be the ambassadors. They should come out and tell the good people of the country, not just on radio, on TV. We are survivors. It is not, it's scary, but you can survive it. And maybe if I had it and recover, all of us can recover. And they should even encourage those of us who are fearous, who don't even want to go and test, and they know our status, that even if you get it, you can get cured. So I think that is the language that we should be preaching on TV, on radio. As for the thing, is scary, but at least we should try and encourage people to follow the protocols. You can still follow the protocols and still get the disease. Right. But I think prevention is better than cure. And I want to take this opportunity to say a very good morning to my Savannah acting chairman, Hamdatu, that he's watching us from Damango.
He's watching us, I'm the way. From
Damango.
I'm the way. From
yes,
Damango.
From Damango. He's watching us.
And
of course, Jamila says hi.
Yes. Also, Jamila, me and her, we are not friends again.
Oh, why?
She knows why.
I don't know.
Good morning to Pan-African TV. We thank God. Bless us. We thank God. Bless us with a new day of the week. I wish you all the best regards. Keep the fire burning and better healthy lifestyle. Prosperous long journey. Let me read a lot more messages. Okay, I think I've read this one already. Let me see. Right. Oh, where is it? Saaka. Have you seen? Okay. It's voodoo the thing. Ponyo Felix Kweku says, when a top politician's dead body is preserved to be buried in March 2021, why won't the disease spread? George Wesley Tego says, I'm really shocked. Glorifying. Yeah. Say John. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, yesterday it was all over the place. I'm really shocked, glorifying your failure. Saaka is being mischievous. Ibrahim Washara says, are you serious, Saaka? You're making me sick. I can't believe what I'm hearing from you. Jessica Simpson says, good morning to you. KOD is in round-shaped eyeglasses. I hope you are not mistaken for someone else. Saaka is struggling to defend the indefensible. It's not easy to defend failure, lies, and over-ambitious steps to stay in power. Mohammed Ibrahim Al-Hassan, I think I've read your message already. Ibrahim Washara, I've read your message already. Mela Koo says, the MPP government have failed in dealing with COVID-19. Reopening of schools is a very sad action, a bad action taken by the government. Please, the disease will continually spread because for students to do social distancing, they forget. Roger from WA. Government has failed at every level. Economy failed, sanitation failed, road construction failed, exchange rate failed, clearing of goods, blah, 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 everything. Coronavirus failed. Okay, thank you. Let me read a few of the text messages and then I'll come to you, Gabriella. Good morning to you, Kwame. Please tell Saaka that he is boring. He shouldn't play politics with our life. Allah is watching him. Okay. Roger from Navrongo. Kwame, my problem is those students who are positive with COVID-19. It is time for the exam. If it's time for the exam, is government going to let them write or not. Good morning, Pan-African TV. MPP are not doing anything. Isaac from Gushegu. KOD, Saaka is lying about the number of testing centers. He has no fact except that he hears others saying it. I am in a treatment center and I know how distorted the turnaround time is. This is largely because of the limited testing centers. I'm sorry, Saaka. You can be more candid than this. Haruna Seidu comes from Kintampo. Sent in this one. Gladstone from Hoho says, good morning to KOD. Please ask Saaka for me. Those students that contracted the virus, COVID-19, during the final exams, would they be allowed to write? I think somebody also asked that question. Positive change in Medina says, Akufo-Addo knows very well that he does not deserve a second term and he knows the good people of Ghana will vote him out. Okay, thank you. You say regards to lawyer Francis Sosu. Good morning to you, KOD. To you, when will Saaka address issues the way he understands it? Always telling Kwekwe stories. You should give us a break. King in Tema. This one says, good morning to you, KOD and the panelists. I'm afraid the MPP panelist on your show is struggling. He's quick to point to recovery numbers as success. How will he feel if a member of his family was part of the dead? The government has failed right from the start. Gurasa from Techiman. Please, the face shield is not the same as the face mask. The two must be used simultaneously. Using only the shield is non-productive. Jonathan Agbenya from Kolebu in Accra. Jonathan, thank you very much for your message this morning. Kwame, after the exams, the children will by all means go home. Does it mean the exam has immunized the kids against COVID-19? Very good point there. Hajia, I'm proud of you. Nafi from Takrade sent in this one. Good morning to you. I'm Cecil from Qatar. I want Sister Gabriella's number to wish her a happy birthday. You could have just simply wished her. Good morning to you, KOD. Why do you love combining Hajia and Gabriella? John from Sandema, why do you have a problem with that?
I'd rather come here for this one.
For Saaka. Hey, Coffee from Sopo. What are you talking about? Hajia is a CPP woman. So why are you saying that I'm bringing Saaka and Hajia against the NDC woman? Coffee from Sopo. Anyway, let me now come to you, Gabi. Let's hear from you.
Kwame.
Yeah. Hey, Charlie, the time they run, pal.
The rest of the time I'm taking all. Government fight against COVID.
Really?
Our case count, as at yesterday, was 24,518. This morning, I think they have new cases of a little over 400 new cases recorded.
Too much.
But you know, yesterday we had a press meeting and we addressed the issue of COVID and government's abysmal performance in the management of COVID. As it stands today, we've recorded 135 deaths. May the Lord bless the soul of everybody who has lost his life against this in this pandemic. Kwame, now from March 7th or the 12th, when we recorded our first case, from early March, when we recorded our first two cases, to date, we've had that 24,518. From March till June 10th, we had 10,000. March, April, May, June. That was 3 months before we hit 10,000. From June 10th to today, July 14th, we are now at 24,518, which means within this 1 month, we have 14,000 new cases, which is even more than what we recorded in the first 3 months. It's not because we are testing. We've always been testing. It's because the virus is now raging. It's a community spread. Now, some people are saying that because of the drop in temperature, if you've observed, for the past almost 3 weeks now, it's been a bit chilly.
Very.
And as a respiratory disease, the weather is facilitating the spread of the virus. That is true. Currently, it's recorded that there are now 2 strains of COVID in Ghana, the mutated strain and the original strain. The mutated strain is much more vicious than the original strain because, mind you, the mutated strain enters your environment. It takes certain peculiar traits from your environment, the people's DNA, and rebuilds itself. And that is what the mutated strain is. In this past 1 month, we've also recorded a little over 60 new deaths, which means that almost half of the total deaths recorded has happened this 1 month alone. Today, as it stands, schools are reopening. We are trying to get back to normal life. We've been given protocols to follow. And it's expected that everybody should take personal responsibility for themselves. If you ask the ordinary Ghanaian on the street, do they remember the COVID protocols? Aside washing hands and wearing masks and social distancing, majority of them would have forgotten the rest because the education has started lacking. When we reopened the schools, Hajia was saying we should have done testing before allowing the students in. That would have been a very expensive exercise. So I understand why government did not take that path. Because with the final years alone, they are a little over 500,000. Already, our testing capacity for this 3 months that this virus has been here, we've been dealing with COVID, it's well over 300,000. So it means that we're now going to put equivalent of what we've spent on testing 300,000 plus people into secondary schools, which is going to cost us even more than what we're going to test the population. So the strategy then was that let the students go. Let us put in the enhanced protocols, give them Veronica buckets, give them sanitizer, let them wear masks, try and get them to social distance, and then let's get back to normalcy. Do not allow parents to visit their children because so many of them coming into the environment is likely to contaminate the environment with the virus. Understandable. However, taking the case of Accra girls in particular, a teacher's wife went out, returned with a virus. The husband got it. The student got it. After contact tracing, 50 additional students have also tested positive. That is the story of Accra girls. So it wasn't a question of the parents not being allowed to the schools. Because, mind you, the staff of the schools also have families. And these family members also go out to the markets, to the stations, to work, all these places. And they also stand the risk of returning back to these campuses with the virus. In the clear case of Accra girls, that really is what happened. I heard this morning parents have masked up that they want to pick their kids because they are afraid of the safety of their kids. But Accra girls is not a school in isolation. As at yesterday, I think there are roughly about 13 schools that have now tested, that have students who have tested positive for COVID. There are about 700 secondary schools across the country. So because of these 13 schools, must all the 700 schools be shut down? As we said, we have to get back to some form of normalcy. I don't think the answer is a whole block strategy of shutting down the schools completely. Because personally, I want these kids to write their exams this year. I don't want them to go into the next academic year because that is also going to affect them. This young crop of Akufo-Addo graduates, unfortunately, just to satisfy a government political promise, have already been put through so much stress already. From double track to congestion, to sitting at home for 3 months in between semester breaks, to going back to school in a pandemic when you don't even, the uncertainty is so high and the risk is so high. But the bigger risk is for us not to know the output of Akufo-Addo's graduates in his own term and carry it forward in a John Mahama term, so that then people come and blame the NDC that because the kids sat for their exams in our term, that is why the performance was what it is. I want them to carry their own cross and know how painful the cross really is. But for those little kids, I wish you all the very best in your exams. Now, on the testing matter, you see, fact of the matter really is that government has not been forthcoming with a lot of information on the financial management of this COVID pandemic. They've taken $1 billion from IMF, 200 million from World Bank, Stabilization Fund. They have a COVID fund that private sector people and individuals are donating to.
Including government agencies.
Including government agencies. When you add all that money together, that money is getting to the region of about almost $2 billion. They said they were giving us free water. Some people got the water, some didn't get the water. They said they were giving us 50% electricity. My electricity bill is not 50% deducted. It's what it is. But that's not the yes, but that's not the conversation. I'm postpaid, not prepaid. But be it as it may, we had so much put into this COVID pandemic. I would have thought, knowing very well that the strategy for containing COVID is test, isolate, treat, discharge. The test part is the critical part, because that is where, whether positives or negatives, it is that sample that you get the positives from. More of our resources should have been channeled into getting us appropriate testing kits, because these are disposable items that will run out in no time. As a stance, last week, what you were mentioning to him that he was busily arguing with you.
What?
13,000 backlog from Noguchi. It's just this past week that government released some testing kits and other items for them to be able to run their testing capabilities. The other testing sites are all running almost redundant, because until Noguchi gets its supplies and does the extraction and prepares the RNAs for the other labs to also work with, they can't do anything. They're not that high tech like Noguchi. Now, they've managed to supply them something. When you come to the front, the health sector front, the doctors are complaining, nurses are complaining of their PPEs. This morning, I was listening to the news on radio, and there was a gentleman who was talking. He's a doctor. He mentioned that he tested positive for COVID. He voluntarily went for testing, and it was discovered that he's positive. It took 3 weeks for his results to come. In that 3 weeks, he was asymptomatic. He didn't feel there was anything wrong with him. So for that 3 weeks, he was going about his normal ward duties. And in that 3 weeks, even he himself does not know whether he has infected people or not. When he was asked about the supplies of the PPEs, he said they gave them 3 N95, which they're supposed to change every 8 hours. One N95, they told them, should last them about 2 weeks. For people who are coming into contact with quote-unquote infected people, how do you let them use one mask for 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Hey, this one there.
Totally inappropriate.
No, but this problem is all over the world. Even the US.
No, that is not an excuse.
They
That is not an excuse. The population of the United States is not the population of Ghana. We are solving a domestic problem. Not going to compare ourselves with the problem.
Let there's somebody at tech who was
They said the FDA. They said that the FDA said that test kit was producing too many false positives and negatives.
Hey.
So they sent it back for them to work on. So now all our test kits are imported test kits, because what we're giving are the rapid test kits. So we don't use rapid test kits here. We only do what the Noguchi and the rest do. So it tells that there's a problem, because until you get the testing capability right, this virus has already, what's the expression they use? When the horse is already bolted out of the stables. This virus is already now out of the stables. We are having voter registration. We are having all kinds of exercises that is now allowing us to congregate, which only exposes us to the virus more. Why should he rush me? Was I telling him to rush you when you were talking? I told you I've taken the whole 30 minutes. I've not finished.
Hey, 30 minutes.
When? What else is there to discuss?
No, there's another one to discuss. Professor Adai.
Stomach one. No. So,
hey, so
now
because today is your birthday, me, I'm not minding you.
I will forget that one. I'm thinking about COVID. So, which means that we should have gotten our testing capacity right. We are failing there. I heard the Deputy Minister for Health say that, even though we have 24,000 cases, even with the active cases, about 98% of them are asymptomatic. An asymptomatic person can still spread a virus, because all it takes is for that asymptomatic person to meet somebody who has a weak immune system.
And that's it.
And that is it. So the argument that 98% are asymptomatic is not something we should take consolation in.
No, asymptomatic after 14 days.
That was what.
No longer spread the virus.
That was what the WHO said, and
yes.
And that is what informed your discharge.
Yes.
A day after that announcement, the lady at the WHO, with the ombre hair, so you know that I also watch her, the brown hair with the broad at the end, she came back and corrected herself.
She did.
Every single day, those people are reviewing tens of thousands of documents on COVID, and every single day they come and change their mind.
Yeah, you know, when it started, it wasn't airborne. Then it became airborne.
Yeah, but
so it's like that. Now you can stay in the air for 8 hours.
So we have to take more responsibility and domesticalize what our protocol ought to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we have epidemiologists here, we have virologists here, we have scientists here, we have public health professionals here. We have to take whatever literature is coming out from the WHO, and then we tune it to suit our situation here. Following this new protocol, discharge when people test negative, are so positive, but are not showing symptoms.
After 14 days.
After 14 days. That's how come they discharged Napo. Napo was released with the positive.
So are you saying Napo never tested negative?
Maybe now he's got a test. But when he was released, the letter that followed him when he was released.
You saw the letter?
UGMC. Yes, it was online. Said that he was positive, but he was going to be tracked. So, per this new protocol that they used to clear so many of their patients out, it makes sense to me why government would take this strategy, because, mind you, by the time we hit 13,000, it was obvious that government was running out of space.
Okay, conclude for me.
To house all these patients. So getting so many of them out meant that there isn't enough pressure now on our infrastructure. But as it stands, our health professionals are falling sick. 730 of them have contracted COVID in the line of duty. They keep complaining about PPEs.
Yeah.
It's still a major problem. Government has been telling us we are supplying PPE, we supply PPE, and the people are saying they don't have enough PPE. These frontline workers, for every single
the disease.
So they should be get the disease for them to be compensated.
Government gives
my brother
health worker 25,000.
Kwame.
Yes, my boss.
You should give them 25,000 for contracting the disease. For that 25,000 that you are paying them to contract the disease,
could be used to
they have to
disease.
set. No, listen to how stupid this sounds.
It's not stupid.
Listen.
It shows that government. It shows that
no. For every single health professional
and that
who test positive,
you are not the one speaking.
They go into isolation for 2 weeks. for that 2 weeks,
Yes.
that individual health professional can no longer treat anybody. Is it because of your 25,000 that they should risk the lives of the countless other Ghanaians who they have to treat so that they can earn 25,000? They should allow themselves to be infected by the virus.
They should allow themselves to be infected.
Saka, I want her to conclude.
No, but
We don't even have enough health professionals fighting this COVID.
Because government.
No, because you see, what you
And
sought to do
every
was to
single health professional.
that do I know that any health
Are you
professional
going to let me talk?
who contracts the virus is paid 25,000
Yes.
as compensation.
As
And I think
compensation.
I think that's what
And
she's
then she's
trying to
turning
do.
it around.
No, I'm telling you what the reality is.
Mm.
The reality is that for every single health professional who tests positive, they go into isolation.
Yes.
If there were 10 of them on duty that night that got exposed, all 10 of them, isolation.
Of course.
For the next 2 weeks, these 10 are not out doing field work.
Yes.
Do we have enough health professionals? No, we don't.
So what's your point?
But because you want to pay them 25,000, it is okay for them to be exposed and go and sit in isolation.
No. I mean, what is this point about?
Okay, Gabby,
No,
conclusion.
so don't justify that 25,000.
what is this
That's
point
what the
about?
person tests positive.
You're not
You give
making
them
any point,
25,000.
Gabby, in conclusion.
In conclusion, government has failed in the fight against COVID. At a time
So that's the
when
conclusion.
Saka, please, can we have a very wonderful show today, please? Gabriella, go ahead.
at a time when we have so many of our citizens out in the open, in registrations, in card collections, in buses, in terminals, in schools, I expect that government will do better with the testing capacity and the isolation centers, the supply of the disposables to the health professionals, and government also should take responsibility because government now, their officials now tell us that we are not wearing our mask because we are not taking responsibility for ourselves.
All right.
But our leaders themselves also should show us that they are equally responsible people and that they also practice what it is that they preach.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, the WhatsApp number is 0260846539. We're also streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television. I've seen your messages. I'll try and read a few of them before we jet out of here. Now, the next topic that we are going to be looking at, birthday lady and Saka, please, let me do my job. Professor Adai Jabs Mahama says Ghana will be worse off under his leadership. And a few questions come to mind. One is why? And what has informed his utterances? Yeah. So basically, these are the two questions that come to mind. Hajia, let me respectfully start with you on this one.
Well, I don't know why he said that. I'm not in his mind, and I don't belong to his political party.
Does he have one?
No, he should be. He should be an MPP.
Okay.
Because there are some certain positions, whether we like it or not.
It's for MPP.
It's political.
It's political, yeah.
It's political. You cannot just wake up from your house and go and be a chief director somewhere or maybe a head of an institution just like that.
No mean an institution like GRA.
Without that political connection. I'm not saying he's not qualified to be there. I'm not saying that. But if he's saying John Mahama, what did he say?
John Mahama will be worse off. He said Ghana will be worse off.
Oh, Ghana will be worse off.
Under John Mahama.
Maybe you should have read what he said because just at the...
Well, where is the searchlight? I mean, yesterday it was flying all over social media, and there was a response from Edwidji Tamaklo. But I didn't even read Edwidji Tamaklo's response. But essentially, what Edwidji was saying is that, but you are benefiting from this administration, so do you expect this administration to lose the 2020 elections? Obviously, your job will go with you. So, I mean, things for you to say for your party to stay in power is what you're going to do.
That's what I'm saying.
Just give
definitely, maybe he has his reason.
Let me read it out for you.
Maybe he has made some pointers there. Based on what he says, then we can talk about it.
Mr. Adai says, former rector, Professor Adai,
you see,
says Former rector of Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration says former President John Mahama is not fit to run the country again. Professor Dyer stated that Mahama lacks the full leadership characteristics to run the nation. Speaking on Joy FM Super Morning Show, he explained that it won't be in the nation's interest if the NDC flag bearer is given the nod to man the affairs of the country. He said he stands by his statement made on the 16th of October 2016. John Mahama today, as he was then, does not have the full complement of leadership competencies, be it on vision, strategic thinking, selecting and leading a team, curbing the menace of corruption, or prosecuting a credible development agenda. He said, according to him, electing Mr. Mahama for another term will spell doom for the country. Quote, in a democracy, in our democracy, we will have to believe with people's choice, but Ghana will be worse off if Mahama ever becomes president again.
Yes, if I may come in.
Hajia, please.
I think this is something he said in 2016. He's saying he reiterated that in 2020. 2016 was an election year. He said it when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was the president. And now he's no more the president. And he wants to come back. And the gentleman is saying that he still stands by what he said the previous 2016. And he has cited corruption and maybe lack of leadership and so on and so forth. What I will say is that we are going to present a better alternative. I can only speak for my flag bearer that is going to be chosen very soon. Then we'll look at we'll look at the presidential candidates we are going to present to the good people of Ghana. Then we'll compare, because whether we like it or not, the corruption tag that was hung around His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I don't see him coming out to sort of remove that tag by sort of facing the cameras and then telling people maybe what I was accused of. I'm not guilty of it, even though he has not been taken to court, which is immune, isn't it? You cannot take a president. But they've accused me of A, but that is not it. This is the answer to A, B. I didn't see His Excellency John Dramani Mahama addressing this corruption tag that has been hung on his neck. Now, leadership. People see leadership in a different, so many different ways. Maybe if you are a leader and then maybe under you, certain things are happening. Whether you like it or not, if you're a very good leader, or maybe people like you, but other people will do certain things that people will be looking at you as not a good leader. We all experience that kind of thing. So I don't know what Professor Dyer has seen. I don't want to say much because he's coming from a family of the MPP, whether we like it or not. If it were to be an independent person observing this, then I can say A, B, C. Because now, whether I like it or not, if I speak in favor of Professor Dyer or against what Professor Dyer is saying, you know, it's close to election. People will start talking. The CPP doesn't want to be dragged into MPP, NDC politics. We want to wait. When it is time, we present our presidential candidate. They will look at the weaknesses of other political opponents, and then we'll point at it, because we've not been given the mandate yet for us to be judged. Is the NDC and MPP that can compare records when it comes to the fourth Republican destiny. But all of us are also basing on our previous record, whether we like it or not. And as in Nkrumah, we don't we condemn corruption in any way. We condemn bad leadership and so on and so forth. But as I'm saying, currently as I'm sitting here, the moment I say Jack, even though I can speak my mind, I can say whatever. But we are only 5 months to election. Kwame, I want to spare it and come out at the right time. The right time is when we are all presenting our candidates. You understand? Because somebody will say, well, where is your candidate? I don't have the candidate now, but very soon they're going to elect our candidate. They will compare. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the one we are also presenting, and other political parties. Then we'll look at it and then tell the good people of Ghana, who is this person? Is this person fit to lead this country? Is he corrupt? Has he got a good leadership style? Is he accommodative enough? Can he bring this country? So these traits, we have to educate our people. So I think Professor Adai, as for him, I know how he speaks his mind. And then, you know, that's Ewe Favor's friend, you remember?
I know.
You see, so I want to say that for me, we are going to present a better alternative to the good people of Ghana. Fair. So I want to leave this argument between these
two.
They should
Anyway, Gabi.
Kwame.
Let me come to you before Saaka closes the show for us. Yeah.
Looking at the parameters the man raises. One, on vision. He says John Mahama lacks vision. He's visionless. We thank him very much. Tell me, how does a visionless gentleman run a nation for 4 years as vice president, 4 years as president, invest heavily in ENI, data wells, leaves you 3 FPSOs to support your oil sector, leaves you stabilization fund, which today you are depending on to fight your COVID.
Saaka, let her finish.
No, but she's lying.
Yes, you can dispel that if you have time. Listen, get your...
Didn't I tell you?
Saaka, when she interjects you don't complain.
That was President Mills.
Was he not vice president?
So he gave us, because he was vice president.
But was he not chairman of the parliament?
So what did President Mills do?
Hey, my brother.
Please.
Hold on, let me
So
finish.
President Mills didn't do anything.
Saaka Salia.
Do you want time to
You know
respond?
what,
You should have been correcting her.
Please.
You will get your time to dispel
This same so-called visionless man invested heavily in your health sector. Today, when your ministers were sick, they went to sleep in the pages on the Green Book at that UGMC there. He invested in your education sector. We gave you 3 new universities. We gave you 48 new e-blocks with 126 others at different stages of completion. We left you so many primary schools. We gave you CHIPS compounds. We gave you good roads. We gave you a brand new airport, which became the toast. Question mark. Which became the toast of the world. Ghana's new airport. Come and see Ghana's new airport. People went there just to go and take selfies. We revamped the railway sector. He says
corruption.
Which part?
I know. Okay, the one that
I disagree.
I
disagree.
But we signed with the Indians for the Akosombo rail line.
No, because I know
the one that is currently under construction wasn't not signed under Mahama.
Okay.
Now that
now he says on corruption.
Yeah.
So you jump in.
So you are this vision. No, I'm using all the parameters, but we don't have much time. I'm using all the parameters he's given to answer him. Then he said curbing corruption. Did his government, this one that he serves under, curb corruption when they were doing PDS and Ameri and all the Metilicious and Movimpina and all the other boss sagas? Was that curbing corruption? We are mobile. Development agenda. When we were leaving office, this visionless man left Ghana a new 40-year development plan. When these people came, they said they cannot implement 40 years, so they want to go and do Ghana beyond 8, medium term. Then this same gentleman, Professor Adai, goes and now starts a 100-year development plan, which is really trying to convince his own government to adopt. Between these two gentlemen, which of them had vision? Now, formation of a team to run a government. If they had people in their stead, in their camp, as they claim, we have the men, how come 60% of this government is made up of family and friends?
But they are the men.
So I didn't know the
men. I don't know the men.
The same person whose candidate came and said, I will not employ my family members. In the end, he employed 60% family members. And then he goes on. He says, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I finished with his parameters that he gave, right?
Yeah, so in conclusion.
According to the CDD, under this current administration, Ghana has lost 9.2 billion in corruption. Tell him, if Mahama lacks all these parameters that he himself has noted down, he should go and use the same parameters to judge his presidential candidate, Nana Akufo-Addo, and see which of these two men lacks vision, lacks credibility, cannot curb corruption, does not know how to form a team, and definitely lacks vision. I am done.
Good morning, KOD. I'd like to know which institution crowned Professor Adai professor. MPP always talking trash on professional people. Skydom in our she sent in this one. And this one also says, so according to Professor Adai, Nonado is the best option for Ghana. How funny this enemy of this country can be sometimes. Theo Hayford said, why can't government officials accept responsibilities for once? They always want to justify themselves, even if things are going wrong. KOD, please, we love watching your show. We need you in sound health, so please wear your nose mask. John L. Blue. Thank you. I'll do so. Good morning to you, KOD. The truth of the matter is that the MPP government has failed the people of Ghana painfully. So we need to change this dangerous Nonado and his cronies once. Professor Adai himself is a big failure. Vote NDC, vote DM. Lagbaja. Lagbaja. Lagbaja from Accra. This one simply says, Prof is confused. This one also says, Nana B should be punished with the video watched concerning entering the school campus to do his own thing. This one also says, Kwame, do you remember what Professor Adai said some months ago to our dear humble teachers? Only MPP have such incompetence, Professor, from King Henry in Axim. This one also says, KOD, following the jabs of the professor, one will not be far from right to conclude that he's confused because of the many books he's written. He should keep his cool and should not attack teachers ever again. Good morning, Mr. Host. The acting CBP chair is not speaking the truth between President Akufo-Addo and Mahama, who really appointed friends and family in his government. But she's hey. S Bugri from Bolga sent in this one. Good morning to you, KOD. I'd like to know which institution. Okay, I think I wish I've read the message. A.U. Farouk in Tamale says, good morning to you. It is sad government is not adhering to the calls of the medical experts to close down the schools when the deadly COVID-19 cases are running up. It's running up like a bushfire in the dry Hamatan season. Kick out Nana, you say. And I'll come back to the messages, but let me now come to Saaka.
Yeah, Kwame, I couldn't have agreed with Professor Adai more. All the things that he said is apt. I mean, Ghanaians themselves, unless somebody wants to tell me that Ghanaians were wrong in booting out your mama, for the first time in the history of this country, a certain president was booted out of office. And it could not have been an accident. Ghanaians have tested his rule. They have seen his dexterity, they have seen his prowess, and they know that it is not up to scratch.
It is better than this one.
I'm coming. And they've seen that it was not up to scratch in terms of all the parameters that he mentioned. I mean, let me start with corruption. This one, I'm not even going to say that functionaries of the government. I'm talking about the president himself, President John Dramani Mahama himself, was deep down in corruption. Deep. To the extent that, I mean, it went through some, anti-graft institutions who sat on the cases and came out with results. For instance, when your mama took the Ford expedition, he never denied that he didn't take, he took it. The Ford expedition, yeah, that is, you wait, the first expedition was taken as a result of the fact that, John Dramani Mahama had given a contract to Kanazua, Jibril Kanazua in Burkina Faso for building a wall. Had also given him another work at the Fofoso Pepeso Road, and was even getting ready to give him the Nadoli Hamlin Road. So because of that, Kanazua brought him 100,000 for the expedition, and he took it. She is sitting here and saying that it is at the Flagstaff House. You have agreed that you took it. Wherever you took, you put it. It's neither here nor there, because Jibril Kanazua is not richer than Ghana for him to have donated, such a thing for us, and you did not made it public at that time. It was only made public when it was exposed that this is what you did. And indeed, I'm still on corruption. We talk about the Professor Mills, the good professor, may his soul rest in peace, had instituted a probe to probe John Dramani Mahama for engaging in act of corruption.
Where's the report?
And indeed, before they could come out with their report, the professor had died. Hey, and then he assumed power. He assumed power. And the three-man committee led by the then Interior Minister to probe him. So we are talking about this situation. We are talking about a whole lot of corrupt acts. Even whilst in opposition, his corrupt act has been exposed by the international bodies. We've seen the embryo matter. We've seen other aircraft activities where he had to engage his brother. Where he had to engage his brother, who is lost in the UK, to be a government intermediary and all that. So don't do. I am saying that he is the one. No name was mentioned. He is the one, whether name was mentioned or not. No name. I will not. I will not allow you use my platform sitting here to do that. No name was mentioned. I am saying no name was mentioned. Saaka, listen to me. Make your point. But no name was mentioned. I know your trick. No, it's not. You just want. Nobody's name was. Why? We all read the report. Wait. We all read the report. And I'm saying wait. No name was mentioned. And listen. I am saying today. Listen, you can make sound, but don't today. As we are sitting here, if somebody should see that the host of this program, excuse me to say, okay, is handsome. Who are they talking about? Even though your name has not been mentioned, are you not the one? Why? Justice Appiah also hosts the. They say that the one hosting today. The one who's talking for no. Government official want today. Oh, listen. Government official want. Let's say you want to investigate the issues. What kind of name argument? If somebody says that, how do you make such a name argument? If somebody says that Pan Africa TV morning show regular host is very handsome. This doesn't fit. Who are they talking about? This doesn't fit in. Even though your name has not been mentioned, it does not fit. Everybody knows that you are the one. It does not fit. Government official one, we all know. You know, that's what you know. I don't know. He is the one. So that's what you're saying. So this is your opinion. And we are talking about a situation where, even if you take the NDC manifesto, the NDC could not fulfill 67% of their manifesto under the visionless John Dramani Mahama. So if Professor Adai is talking about this matter, why would anybody argue with him? I'm saying that all the things that he sat here, she sat here, she sat here and talk about stabilization fund and all those. In conclusion, you don't even know that Dramani Mahama doesn't have anything to do with the stabilization fund. In conclusion, indeed, the stabilization fund was done in 2010. In conclusion, you understand? So why are you appropriating everything? So if that were the case, then your Mahama spent 8 years. So it means that your Mahama spent 8 years as president. But if everything that Professor Mills did was the work of John Dramani Mahama, it means that John Dramani Mahama doesn't even have the right to contest again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Saaka. Gabriella, today you have made me so happy. I always thought you are soft-spoken, but today you have changed my mind. Ato in Mankasim sent in this one. This one also says, Theo Hayford says, KOD, please, who is this brainy lady? Wow, God bless her. Thank you very much, Hajia, for your time. We should have our one-on-one. Gabi.
Loses 3 billion to
when you're ready. Gabi.
Yeah.
Gabriella Tetteh.
From 2019.
Gabriella Tetteh.
Yes.
Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
So
And
there's nothing to celebrate. You didn't bring anything.
What you did. Saaka, thank you very much. What
you don't celebrate a lady's birthday with her age attached.
Oh, why? It's a beautiful feat. Masa.
Ask her whether she's happy.
Yeah. Why? Has she told you she's
happy?
So you are very happy.
Why? What is wrong with her age?
Okay, it's okay.
Hey, are you serious?
No, because they
will advertise.
Oh, there are some single men above my age, so don't worry.
Thank you very much. You know, on Thursday I'm going to do some throwback, okay, on the morning show, and I'll be playing you some videos of some of the things that have happened. Things that have happened when MPP took power. We'll talk about, you remember that video? Said you keep whining. Today, Facebook reminded me that it's been 3 years. Then a gentleman's response was succinct. Said, who flies 3,000 miles to come and whine? So on Sunday, I will do throwback. You remember the press conference that I supervised, which has to do with the cash for seats. I have those press conferences.
No, but cash for seats was
will be so
proven to be baseless.
That day will be so beautiful.
Do you know something?
And you know, I have a video of Nanka Bruce, who was brutalized at the seat of Cameroon.
Do you know that do you know that the musical chairs around listening? Do you know that the musical chairs around the AG has proven what the president says, that committees have been cleared his appointees? He himself has been taking out the people who can interdict his people and put his own people and come back and say the committees have cleared his people.
And you know,
hey, NPP.
The NDC is sponsoring that.
You know Kwame Owusu. You remember Kwame Owusu? No, the
maritime authority.
Yes, Iceman.
The one built 4 bedrooms and had 13 air conditioning.
No.
There was 2 bedrooms. It was 2 bedrooms with 13 air conditioning. Iceman. And then they sent him to GRA. And then they come and tell us carbon corruption.
7 rooms.
Carbon corruption. Corruption.
The guy built 3 bedrooms and had 13 air conditioning. In fact, he had air conditioning. Had some in his toilet.
Did you go to see it?
Look at this.
Hey, Kwame.
You are doing politics too much.
I'll see you guys soon. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.